Depression, a term that's been on the rise lately for understandable reasons. Characterized by a depressive mood, sleep disturbance, chronic fatigue, isolation, the inability to concentrate, and so on, the list goes on and on, but these are the main few factors. What is depression exactly, and how can we help people who we suspect might have it? Hello and welcome to another Project OMOW video. This is our first video in our informative series which aims to shed light on the more common and also the more niche mental illnesses which the public may not know about. In this video, we'll be talking about depression in depth. So now that we know the dictionary definition of depression, how do we recognize it? We all deal with mental illnesses in different ways, but here are some common symptoms people with depression, otherwise known as major depressive disorder, may exhibit. Some symptoms include feelings of anger, sadness, emptiness, hopeless, or anxiety, loss of interest or pleasure in most or all normal activities, sleep disturbance, such as insomnia or sleeping too much, tiredness and lack of energy, reduced appetite and weight loss, or increased cravings for food and weight gain, feelings of worthlessness or guilt, fixating on past failures or self-blaming, trouble thinking, concentrating, making decisions and remembering things, and lastly, frequent or recurring thoughts of death, suicidal thoughts, suicidal attempts, or suicide. If this sounds familiar to you, be it a friend, a family member, or even yourself, you may have depression. If you think someone you may know might have depression, how do we deal with that? Here are some ways you can support someone who may require mental or moral support. Of course, it goes without saying that how efficient these tips will differ from person to person as we all experience feelings differently. These are simply general tips to help. Some things you can do for someone who needs help includes listening to them. The keyword here is listen. Many times we may offer unsolicited advice or weak encouragement as we're not sure what to do. This unwanted advice or a badly timed pep talk may make them feel even worse or cause them to end up comforting you instead, which is not what we want. Listen to them and understand why they feel what they feel. It helps more than you'd expect. Another thing you can do to help is to be patient. Many people who suffer from depression often face issues with their self-esteem. If they don't, that's great. But in the case they do struggle with their self-esteem, it often helps to be patient. Insecurities are hard to deal with, especially if it's something related to their appearance. Have you ever looked at a word for such a long time that it ends up not looking like a real word? This is what some people with depression experience with their physical self. So instead of immediately jumping to encouraging self-love, I encourage you to try to encourage them to tolerate themselves first. It definitely worked on me, as I did not pressure myself to like myself immediately. Last but definitely not least, you can communicate with them. Although it may seem a bit useless as they may not respond, it helps to know that someone cares about you, whether you say it explicitly or in your actions. Sending them a simple text, checking in on them, or suggesting to go out for a walk, though you should make sure you should comply with SMM, can mean a lot to someone. For some, continuing with life as per normal can help them refocus on reality. This ties in with being patient though. While you do this, do make sure that you take care of yourself first. Taking care of someone can be extremely draining, so remember to put yourself first. It would definitely be bad if, while helping others, you yourself become depressed. If you suspect or know that you have depression, here are some things which may help you. Again, these tips may not work for everyone, but it's recommended that you try it out to see if it works for you. The first thing I recommend is definitely journaling. What I do is find a piece of paper, dump all the negative thoughts which I may be having or draw it out. Whatever helps you express what you're feeling. After this, you can tear the paper into shreds. When I do this, it personally helps me clear my mind from these negative thoughts. Tearing the paper also helps me by giving me a way to express any frustration I may have and help my brain recognize that these worries are often unfounded and unrealistic thoughts. The next tip is more of a long-term method, but it is effective if you stick to it. I try my best to reframe my thinking. This can be applied to many things. So, for example, correcting myself when I get disappointed with my recovery process. So I think, instead of, I'm never going to get better, to, I'm not having a great time right now. Correcting my thoughts helps me as it gives me a voice of reason. It also makes my actions less extreme, as I don't think as extremely as I would have before. When I first did this with my therapist about 3 years ago, I thought, wow, this is completely useless. But after trying this for 3 years, I can understand where my therapist was coming from. If you do this, please be patient with yourself. It's definitely not easy and you will fail sometimes, but it is part of the process. Lastly, I recommend going out of your comfort zone. I know. This thing again. Let me clarify. By going out of your comfort zone, I mean this in the I'm going to push myself to make new friends in my CCA way, and not push yourself into a public speaking contest despite having extreme stage fright kind of way. Make use of what you used to enjoy. For me, it was being alone at the beach. I love the sound of waves, so when I feel overwhelmed, I go for a walk. It can take up a lot of energy and effort, but it's a small price to pay for some semblance of feeling better. On the plus side, it also helps me sleep better at night, since getting out of bed for that walk takes up a lot of my energy. Recovery and coping both take up a lot of energy and effort. If you find that, despite your best efforts, you can't seem to find it in yourself to do something, take it as slow as you can. Singapore is a fast-paced place, and sometimes you might not even be able to afford to take a break. Even doing a simple thing like clearing your desk might make you feel like you need to put in a lot of effort. Do your best and take pride in your effort. Even if you do something that is not considered productive by conventional standards, you did the best you could given the circumstances. Even getting out of bed when you have depression can be considered a personal achievement. Your effort, whether it be in helping yourself or others, is seen and appreciated. Give yourself a pat on the back. With that, we've come to the end of this Project OMOW video about depression and ways to help someone out who might be suffering from depression or coping. If you know someone who might have suicidal thoughts, or if you yourself have suicidal thoughts, please reach out to the National Suicide Hotline 1-800-221-4444. Calls are strictly confidential, so there is no need to worry about your privacy. Take it from me.